There's one word that you need to really understand, and that word is non-negotiables. So my question to you is, what are your non-negotiables in your life? See, most people never pause to really ask themselves, what do you care about in your life? And listen, we all at one point in our lives have dreams and aspirations. You hear people talking about follow your bliss, as Joseph Campbell likes to talk about, or, follow your passion, etc. But what's really more important, as opposed to passion and bliss, is non-negotiables. That's way more important. So what do I mean by non-negotiables? Is things that you care about, and not just care about. Care is not a good word. These are constitutional elements of your life. Do you ever pause and ask yourself, what are the key things that you absolutely must have in your life? And so when you look at your life, whether you are, working a job that you may not like or you may like, whether you are trying to start a startup that you've been contemplating, whether you've been contemplating to quit your job, whether you've been contemplating to go into a relationship, or the opposite, contemplating whether to leave a relationship, whatever your situation is, you have a non-negotiable. And so an exercise I like to do every 6 months or twice a year is writing down a list of key non-negotiables in your life. It could be like, I must earn X amount per year. I must be loved. I must have the opportunity to walk 1 hour a day. I must be able to go to the gym. It's whatever you want it to be. Non-negotiables are whatever you want it to be. And usually, it's about like 7. You don't want any more than 7. You want to have 7 key constitutional non-negotiables that you care about in your life. And everything around these non-negotiables, or let's call it the human sovereign constitution, the constitutional doctrination of you as an individual. So you take this constitutional doctrination that you've just created, and then you want to map your life around that, right? Whether that is like, hey, based on my constitution, this is what my key values are, and this is how I'm going to engineer my life around me. And most people don't do this. They don't do this whatsoever. They live fucking passively, and they take it as it comes. They'll be at a job they fucking hate. They don't want to quit. They'll be in a relationship. They're not being loved and they don't want to quit. They're not making enough money in their life, but yet they're comfortable. They don't want to quit. Or the opposite. They make enough money, but it's too stressful. They don't want to let it go. They're trying to live for status, but they don't want to let it go. It's killing them inside, egotistically speaking, morally speaking, spiritually speaking, where they're attached to these, let's say, masks, attached to these identities. And so it's a really good exercise for you to do twice a year, is really writing down and being honest with yourself of what these non-negotiables are. And you get a lot of truth out of yourself, extreme amount of truth. Maybe at one point you really cared about making millions of dollars and you realize, what the fuck, at what cost, right? Or maybe you come to a realization that, hey, this relationship isn't really what I thought it is, or what it could be. So it's auditing yourself, right? It's being really honest with yourself and auditing yourself of where I am, where I want to go, and what do I want? Because creating this constitution to yourself, these non-negotiables, is actually loving yourself, right? If you love yourself, that's the most important thing in life. Most people, they go through life without loving themselves. They're looking for validation from others. They're looking to make others happy. They're looking to follow society's rules. They're looking to follow religious rules. They're looking to follow cultural rules. They never ever pause and ask themselves, what are your rules? What makes you happy? What turns you on? What drives you as an individual? And so these small exercises, maybe at the beginning you do it more than twice a year. You do it every quarter. You do it 4 times a year. The more times you audit yourself, the more times you're honest with yourself, the better it is for you to create a roadmap. Because what you want to do eventually is not break these rules. It's a constitution, right? These are non-negotiables. You don't negotiate this for anybody whatsoever, right? And so these are your guiding principles, as Ray Dalio talks about. By the way, really good book to read. And so these principles will guide you through life. And, you come to a scenario, whether it's a new job or new startup or new relationship. And once you have these principles in line in front of you and literally written down in front of you, you can make the proper decision then and there. You might come to a point where, hey, I found this new girl, but, her attitude's like this, but she's beautiful. Nope, non-negotiables. You're looking for love. Or, it might be in a situation, well, I want to start a startup, but I'm afraid. No, your non-negotiable is you will start a startup. You care about being your own boss. You care about creating your own rules. And so that's the exercise I have for you today, is creating these non-negotiables, creating your own constitution, auditing your life, and actually living life underneath your terms as opposed to other people's terms. You don't want to blink, and next thing you know it, you're fucking 40 years old, and you're like, where the fuck did my life go? Where did it go? Where did it go? I'm in a relationship I don't like, or I'm in a job I fucking hate. You don't want that. You don't want to fucking be blind. No, I know way too many fucking people, who are in this position, 40s, 50s, whatever, even fucking 30s, man. They blink, they're like, Ameer, where the fuck did my life go? Listen, bro, there's no one to blame but blame yourself, right? Audit yourself, create your rules, love yourself before you love anybody. Always love yourself first, right? And go out there, become your own movie director, become your own writer of your own life, and do your own thing. I'll leave you guys at that. Peace.